Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the podcast. It's been a while, so excuse me if I'm a bit rusty, but there's a lot of things to cover for January, and we're now in 2018. Feels kind of weird. I still haven't gotten used to writing 2018 yet. Should probably get onto that, but that's not why we're here. Today I have a new guest with me, and who are you?
Hello, everyone. My name's Quab. I don't do much, but yeah, I'm here and I'm excited to talk about stuff.
Well, you don't do much, but you do something. What do you do?
Depends who you are. No, but sometimes I make YouTube content, but for the most part, I'm streaming over on Twitch, whether it's recent art projects or games. That's what I'm known around here for.
And it's all good here. So, yes, I'm very excited to finally have someone new to join the podcast. But regardless, today we're going to be talking about some stuff, some of our favorite games from 2017, and of course a couple of news things that has happened in this month, like always. But as always, whenever it begins a new year, we're going to talk about the year prior because we just like doing that. So, 2017 was probably a really good year for games. I would say, if you just don't count the whole loot boxes, then it was pretty good.
Honestly, it was pretty good. I actually didn't get a chance to play a bunch of them, but there are some favorites I had throughout the year.
All right. I would also say that 2017 was a good year for indies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I mean, just look at Cuphead, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, that's on my list for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list too, for games. So, Quab, what are some highlights of 2017?
Highlights. I mean, the biggest one for me was Cuphead. It's been a very long time since I've actually wanted to play a game and have gone out of my way to go and get a game and make sure I play it. There was a lot of subtle hype, at least in my world. Like, there weren't many of my friends talking too much about it, but I heard a bunch about it on the internet. So when I was actually able to get going and actually play it, between the soundtrack, the actual controls, the entire game, just really smooth, and had a great time playing it.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I wanted to get it was because it was very much inspired by like Gunstar Heroes and Contra, and well, I kind of suck at both of them. I really enjoy playing them, and I can say that Cuphead is definitely worth the price. Like, only $20.
For sure.
Like, come on,
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's insane.
And I'm also glad that they didn't restrict this to just the Xbox, and like I know that would have been a huge selling point for the Xbox, because they definitely need one at this point.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been a little too much restrictive, and probably wouldn't have made a lot of money if they did that.
Yeah, it's true, for sure.
Though, again, having that like Windows 10, if you have like one of those computers, and you can play it on, you could basically just play it on that and the Xbox. So. And you don't need to buy two separate versions. It's just that's how it works. And
yeah,
that's cool.
It's honestly, they did it the right way, which was nice.
Yes. I think another standout moment would have to be just Nintendo.
Absolutely, for sure. They killed it this year.
Oh, well, 2017 was last year. It's
still
weird.
They killed it in 2017. There we go.
And let's hope they kill it again in 2018, because
yeah, for sure,
it looks promising. But man, I just need to say that I was very skeptical of the Switch. I think one of the podcasts I did talk about it. I said it might succeed, but I was very worried about kind of what would happen near the end. But all those worries have gone over, and now I'm thinking this. I need to have this console.
Yeah,
it's just oof.
Yeah, back when there was all those problems with it, and there was a lot of controversy stirring around, like whether it would be good. Me and my brother were talking a fair bit, and we were just like, all right, we'll wait a year, we'll wait till Christmas, and I'm sure everything will be fixed. And it absolutely was. There's been nothing but positive reviews from me in terms of my time with it. So
yeah, and not only the guests, we just got, like, Splatoon 2 was another big hit. Super Mario Odyssey was a huge hit.
Oh yeah.
which is great to see because now as they're finally going back to the Mario 64 roots
Yeah.
and doing something like that. Though I still think having 999 star things to collect, it's a little overboard.
It's a lot, but I mean, I'm also trying to think of the last time we got a Mario game like that, which is probably 64, which is very in that style.
That was
at
like
least.
that was like non-linear or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd probably be that because Sunshine kind of changed the entire thing, and Galaxy
Absolutely.
was kind of like with kind of a combination of both.
Yeah,
And then we got the 3D World games, which were just 2D games but in 3D.
yeah, they were fine, but just seeing Odyssey come out, which is actually in one of my favorite games for 2017, just very comfortable controls, a new style of play, but it doesn't actually change your experience. It's something cool that you can explore for yourself. In general, just I had an amazing time playing it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, would you say it's something that if you have a Switch that definitely get?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have a Switch and you have the opportunity to get this game, it is 100% worth it.
And of course, at the start of 2017, we did get Zelda Breath of the Wild,
Yep.
which did get nominated a bit for the Video Game Awards,
Mm-hmm.
which that was interesting. Not as good as last year because there was no Schick Hydrobot, but still, that it was enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure.
To some degree. But yeah, I think Nintendo has something really strong here, and
Absolutely.
and just the fact that it's now it's a portable console, and
Mm-hmm.
that some games I think work better with it.
For sure.
like,
There's times.
I know that a lot of people bring up like Stardew as it basically being made for the Switch as
Yeah.
Your enjoyment kind of increases, and that's really something interesting to think about because now that some games are being re-released on the Switch, and you just think, oh, it's just a re-release, but because it's portable, and it kind of brings a new I don't want to say like audience, but kind of new perspective.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way to say.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's on. Well, at least with Nintendo, this in 2017, it's nice to see them going back to what they used to do, which is just a really fun console that anybody can pick up. There were, at least with the Wii U, it didn't really seem like they were trying to go for the full market that they could have. But with the Switch, like they've gone back to a bunch of family games for people that want to spend time and put time into a game. Like there's a bunch of demographics that they're hitting with it that we did not see with the Wii U.
Yeah, it's definitely the best thing to probably come out of 2017 was the Switch.
Yeah, I would say so.
And it's also good because with the Switch you basically get two controllers, and it kind of brings back couch co-op, which was it's just kind of like in this state of, is it dead? We don't know.
Yeah.
It's kinda.
Yeah.
It's weird the state of that now, but I think couch co-op is kind of coming back, it's having a revival.
Yeah, it's one of those things, at least for me. I think it's going to make a comeback. I don't think it's going to be as big as we want it. But you can definitely market it as nostalgia because a lot of us, we had couch co-op as kids. Whether it was with siblings or friends from school and stuff like that, with the GameCube and what else was at the time, PS2 and Xbox.
Yeah, like I have so many memories of the Halo LAN parties.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
That was ooh, man.
Yeah, and so it's actually a great market to target if you're going for nostalgia, because that's definitely something that people will go for. So it's nice to see the Switch trying to reboot it.
And another point is Cuphead's is couch co-op. So
It
there's
is.
that.
It is. You'll probably not have a friend by the end of it, but it is.
Oh wow! So it's just like Mario Party. Don't play with your friend. Play with your enemy.
Absolutely.
All right, but I'm also really excited to see the new games that Nintendo is going to put out for 2018.
Yeah.
We're getting a Bayonetta 3, which is
I was
amazing.
unaware of that. That's fantastic.
Oh right, yeah. There was a Nintendo Direct near the end of 2017, and they, I think it was a mini Direct,
Okay.
which is, I guess, just super small. So here's a bunch of things. All right, go, pretty much.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we're getting a Bayonetta 3.
That's cool.
It's just kind of a, I don't know what to expect. They didn't really show anything, but Bayonetta 3, there we go. So now I do need this thing. And we also have some more details of the next Kirby game, which kind of looks like that Wii game, not the drawn one, but
Not
the,
Epic
like,
Yarn.
yeah, not Epic Yarn, but there's another Wii one that was released, and it's basically like that. I forget
Okay.
the name of it.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now.
I'm a professional, but whatever. Actually, and I never claimed to be that. But anyway, the point being here is that Nintendo is doing ridiculously well.
Yeah.
And that's really good to see, especially from the Wii U,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was not really that good, but had a good library of games if you decide
Oh,
to
yeah.
stick with it.
Yeah, that was the thing with the Wii U, is that, I got one, I believe, a couple months after release, and there was a lot of games that I actually really enjoyed. I mean, despite it having zero shelf life, Nintendo Land was a great thing to release it with. Had a bunch of fun with that, with Mario Kart coming out, Smash 4, a bunch of things, a lot of good things to come for it, and it kind of just died. They didn't keep up with the market. They just kind of
No.
kept releasing what they wanted to release, which was fine, but it wasn't really expected to last too long. So it's nice to see that with the Switch, they're going back to the classic Nintendo roots of just straight up fun.
And I mean, they also got HD ports of
Yeah,
Twilight Princess and Wind Waker.
and that's just it.
And Wind Waker, oh man, Wind Waker fixed a lot of things,
Oh yeah, no, there was big changes in that.
and it's now a better game.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you ever have a chance to play Wind Waker, try to get the HD version. Though you're gonna need a Wii U, which I don't know if any of them have that. That might be a big detractor. But what I'm trying to say is also, yeah, when are we gonna get a Skyward Sword HD? Probably for the Switch.
Yeah, and that'll be cool. I'll probably
wouldn't
want
be
to play it more.
No, because now then people will actually play it, or they'll actually play enough of it.
There you go.
So yeah, and I guess I could say that wasn't really 2017. Well, I like to look back on it as super positive. Of course, it did have that whole loot box thing, and I can't really ignore that.
Yeah, that was that was a lot of the year.
That was huge.
Yeah.
And I think even a couple, like 3 separate podcasts I had just discussing that, because there was something new coming out and I kind of got sick of it. It's just like, oh, hey, look what else has loot boxes now. Isn't
It's
that amazing?
everything now. It's brutal.
Yeah, but I do kind of want to bring up something different. Extra Credits put out a video kind of explaining why I'd say more of a thesis for why video games shouldn't be worth why a new one shouldn't be worth like $60 anymore because of inflation, and the fact that we've been seeing DLC released and these new things of in loot boxes is kind of a way to adjust for inflation without having to change that $60 price tag.
Yeah.
And I think there is a debate here. I know a lot of people say, well, they need loot boxes because making video games has become a lot more expensive now, and also a lot more easier. It's kind of both a give and take, because I mean, I'm seeing a lot of indies just pop up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like both of the ends have been. It's like you could make a game and it's not as expensive, but it's also more expensive. It's both.
Yeah.
Which happens.
Yeah, well, at least my thing with loot boxes is that I guess it makes up for the price tag, but there's a certain point where the game isn't fun because of the loot boxes, and I know that was a big controversy with EA, and even with Bungie and stuff like that. Like, there's been a lot of talk about how loot boxes are actually butchering the game itself, because for me, the price tag doesn't matter. If it's a game that I really want, I'm going to get it. But if the loot boxes actually factor in my experience, then that, at least for us, $80 game becomes 100, 120. You start looking up into triple digits, and you don't really you don't know what to do anymore. And if your experience is worth it, then go for it. But if you kind of start losing interest in the game, then you've wasted money on things that you really don't need.
Yeah, and that's also something I do want to bring up is you kind of notice that there has been this trend of releasing different editions of games that are marked up a little bit more. You get a little bit more for paying those, like, just instead of a $60 standard, there's like a hardened special, whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
blank edition. That's like 70, and then you get the super ultra gold deluxe double triple quadruple K version.
Yeah.
That's like $100. Now, releasing separate versions of the game, I also think is a good way to kind of ingest. But the problem then comes of, what am I getting? Is it worth it, or does it even kind of break the game?
Yeah.
And that and even going back to loot boxes, I also think just kind of hold debate of when does it become intrusive, and when does it just become something like Overwatch, where it's not really that much of a problem, seeing as everything's pretty much just cosmetic. And I know that they put in the those coins now, so it's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah,
but
at least with Overwatch, the loot boxes have never been a problem for me. But I know there is some controversy with Overwatch with the seasonal events. Because pretty much, for those of you that don't know, there's seasonal events in Overwatch. So like winter, there's normally a Valentine's event. You get a 1-year anniversary, 2-year anniversary event, things like that. And a specific set of cosmetic items come out. And there's a 3-week period where you can get those cosmetic items. Now, you have to be playing the game a lot to be getting enough loot boxes to get all of the skins you want. Now, you can pay for them with the in-game currency that you get from like repeat skins and things like that. But you normally don't make enough. To give you an idea, I think for a repeat rare skin, which is the second lowest you can get, I think you get 25 coins. To get one of the really cool skins for the event, it's 3,000. So you got to be getting a lot if you want to be earning enough. And you also have that time in between events to earn those coins. But for the most part, and I've been guilty of it as well, I'll just pay $25 or whatever, get like 24 loot boxes, whatever the price is, and just see what I can get. And that's when it becomes gambling and you don't know what's going on. And yeah, then I wonder where all my money went. But with Overwatch, it's a bit different. I think Fortnite's going to run into a problem soon. With that game getting a bunch of traction now, there's definitely a loot box problem there because, yeah, cosmetics don't affect the game, but it affects the user's experience.
But they do affect your wallet.
They do. Oh, for sure. They definitely impact your wallet. But if a user's trying to, like, look cool, or I guess the example I'd use is in Destiny 2, if you want your Guardian to look awesome and do cool things, you're going to want to pay the money to get that gear because it looks the coolest.
And Destiny 2 is probably the worst with that, honestly.
Oh, it's terrible. As somebody who has played Destiny and is in top 500 for competitive play, yeah, it's not great. It's not in a good state, and the game's going to be dead very soon unless Bungie does something big. So, yeah, I wouldn't say loot boxes have ruined everything, but they're definitely
it's how you implement them.
Absolutely.
That's really just
that's the best way to put it, for sure.
Like for me, I don't like to bash on loot boxes a lot, but really it's all about how you implement them, and whether or not it's something that really does impact the game, or just is, or just is kind of like or just like something like Overwatch 2, which I've kind of just accepted that. Yeah, that's just how the game, and you don't need the boxes. It's just something extra.
Absolutely.
Which is what it should be.
Yeah.
It's not, this don't do what Battlefront 2 did and make it tied to leveling up or something like that. It was just bad. I don't want to get into that. But anyway, now that we're on the topic of Overwatch, something else that happened, well, early, I think, January, was the Overwatch League.
Oh, yeah, it did.
So I'm not super knowledgeable on esports. Like, I think I only went to one esport event, and that was because of I went to like this Call of Duty Expo thing, and then they had like esports for Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
I got a hey, well, I mean, I got a free copy of Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, so
Oh,
it's like,
so it
yeah,
was totally worth it.
yeah, it was worth it then. It's like, I guess I'll just go just for this one thing. But yeah, the point being that you, on the other hand, Quab,
Yes.
you're better, you're more knowledgeable on this.
I'm very knowledgeable.
So do you want to explain to the audience what OWL is?
Yeah, so the OWL, or OWL, is the Overwatch League, and pretty much, at least the way they're advertising it, and I definitely agree, is they're going for a different direction for esports. Instead of the kind of unknown esports events, or like the big League of Legends events, they're going for kind of a very sport league feel. So it's very similar to NHL, NFL, like Premier League soccer, whatever you want to call it. Whereas there's 12 teams, most of them from the States. You have two over on the West Coast and one over more Eastern. And pretty much it's a season. So every team is playing twice every week against other teams, and they're earning wins and losses towards their standings, and pretty much they keep going until there's a team for the finals and they're going to win it. So it's very similar to sports, and at least for me, that's why I might like it so much. As somebody who's quite a fan of sports in general and a big fan of Overwatch, it's nice to see the two overlapping. If you haven't seen any Overwatch League games, I would definitely recommend it. You can find them either on Twitch or on the Overwatch League website. They play from Wednesday to Saturday. So, I don't know. At least for me, it's really cool. It's awesome being able to cheer for a team. I've already got my jersey set up. Like, I'm ready to go. My wallpapers are all set. But yeah, so something that's really interesting as well is that not all the teams have players from those specific cities. So, for example, the Seoul team, for the most part, that is a full Korean roster. Actually, with Seoul, I believe it is an entire Korean roster. But with a team like Philadelphia, they have players from all over. They have players from Russia. I believe they have one from Taiwan. They have an insane amount of players. And they've been running into problems with getting people's travel visas set up and things like that. So, yeah, honestly, yeah, it's not great, but they got it figured out. So that's all good. But it's kind of really cool to see it in that environment where there are sportscasters live. They have this really cool arena set up for the players to play at. There's substitutes mid games so that like teams can change up strategies and things like that. It's a big difference from what I've seen in the past.
Oh right. So yeah, if there's something that I can say is I did watch a little bit of one of them, I think, and wow, they're making Overwatch way more complicated than I think it needs to be, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I still think that kind of combining it and kind of make it a little bit more like an actual sport is a great idea.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of amazed that Overwatch is the first one to think of this.
Yeah.
But I do think that how they're handling it, even with its own, like even with the Overwatch skins that you can get to kind of support your teams, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's honestly a really cool part. One of the things that they implemented is that currency, so you can buy your team skins. They are pricey. Like it's definitely noticeable. I think I only have 4 because that's really all I could afford. But yeah, you can actually support your team in the game as well and show people who you cheer for by purchasing a specific currency for these Overwatch League skins. And all the proceeds for those skins, whatever team you buy it for, that goes to fund that team, which I think is a really cool way of kind of supporting your team. It's a direct way of supporting your team, which is very different than with sports because for the most part, it's all merchandising. But yeah, I mean, anybody that's a big fan of Overwatch is definitely going to be really interested in it. Between having to see these players change with the current meta as well as yourself changing with that current meta, there's a lot. Like, there's a lot to go on. It's unfortunate right now that Overwatch League is in a dive meta because that's really hard to follow. There's a lot going on with Mercy changes. There's going to be a lot to come. I'm really excited for the future, and yeah, honestly, it's been a great experience for me.
And speaking of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the meta of the game,
Hmm.
and or just meta game, or just the meta of just video games in general, and whether or not they should be, and whether or not they are super important for impacting your how you play, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And what I'm really talking about is just for the casual players, or even just a little the hardcore, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to put them in categories. It's kind of hard to do that, but the point. The point being is that I see a kind of the argument that people should just ignore the meta, and that it really does not, and that it can hinder your game more than actually benefit.
Hmm.
And the way that I kind of look at it is the same as like tier lists in fighting games, where it's really only there as a kind of guesstimate, if you want to say,
Yeah.
and that you probably shouldn't, and that it's not an absolute rule. It's more like a guideline.
Yeah.
It's more of a, here's something that we kind of figured out. Here's like the best person that we think is probably the best. This is a good team up to have when facing this and this certain area. And it's all kind of just statistics, which are never really 100%.
Hmm.
So, yeah. What do
Yeah.
you think about the meta?
So the meta in general, at least comparing it with fighting games, it's definitely very similar. Tier lists, those are definitely good guidelines, and for the most part, you want to stick to those guidelines because they're there for a reason. If you're a very highly skilled player, and this goes for really any game, and you are playing one of the higher tier characters, you're most likely going to be doing well if you're able to master those characters and things like that. But there are times, and I've noticed it a lot with Super Smash Bros. Melee, where there'll be somebody that is just messing around with one of the lower tier characters and actually kind of discovers a potential. And it goes the same for Overwatch as well, where there's people that play characters that are normally not viable in the regular meta, but they're so good at them, and nobody knows how to play against them. So that's what makes them really good, and you can't really stop them. At least with Overwatch, like if you run into an insanely good Symmetra player, you have no clue what to do because they're everywhere. They have specific spots that they like to place things. They know where to be when, and it's really hard to play against. So I definitely agree that the meta is something to stick to, but I also agree in the sense that you can dabble with other things and do just as
Yeah. I think that that's a good. I think that's a good rule to kind of go by.
well.
If everyone's looking at competitive play, is yeah, the meta is important, but also kind of stick with what you know
Yeah.
too.
It all, and with a team-based game like Overwatch, it also depends on what your team's doing.
Yeah.
If your team is willing to run something a little bit more unconventional, then absolutely go for it. But for the most part, a lot of people stick to the meta because that's what the higher rank people do. That's what the pros do. That's what people in higher ranks do. Like that's just what they run and what they follow. So for the most part, most people follow that as well.
And yeah, so there we go. And now we move on from Overwatch to Nintendo again. Hey, look at that. That's a beautiful segue, right? Anyway, something else interesting that I think was revealed at the the mini Nintendo Direct, but I'm not 100% sure. I should probably fact check that. But the point is that we now have this thing called Nintendo Labo that will be released April 20th, 2018.
Yep.
And we already have two toy cons, as they call it. One, which is a variety kit, where you get like a piano, this little house thing that you make, the fishing pole, which actually looks really fun. And then, of course, you also get the robot kit, which is just this robot thing, and you like smash. It's cool. I want that too. Just saying, but yeah, you're probably looking at this thing. It's like, what the heck? This is just cardboard, and you'd be right. And I want it. And it's though the prices on this thing are a little extreme. Like the variety kit is $69.99, and the robot kit is $79.99.
Yeah, that's a lot. that's a lot to handle.
A little bit, much. But the point of the Nintendo Labo was supposed to be something, an educational tool for the kids.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see that, but at the same time, you're also getting a lot of adults that want it too, like me. And I'm here saying like, oh man, I gotta shell out that much. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't even have a Switch.
At least for me in the Labo, I think it's a great idea. The price it's pretty hefty. There's a lot of money going into it, and a lot of people will rationalize it as it's cardboard. But the way I would compare it is just as toys I had as a kid. I mean, if I'm able to have that cool of an experience where I have a jetpack on me and I'm playing with a jetpack in a game, that's so cool. That's awesome. I'd have a great time.
Yeah, just think of all the enjoyment a kid can have with this thing. That's like, oh man.
It's insane. And at least for the price, like, that's because it's marketed towards the parents.
Yes, like of course.
Like, there's gonna be kids, I guess, aged like 6 to anyone actually, because everybody wants it apparently. But
it's just like Legos.
Exactly, it's for everyone. But yeah, like the price is marketed for the parents because the kids will want it. The kids will bug other kids to get it because it is that cool. Like, it's really interesting. A really cool idea to go with the Switch, because I couldn't have called it coming out this way at all.
But this is such a Nintendo thing to do, right? Like,
yeah.
Like now everyone besides Nintendo is all about the prettiest graphics, the best thing that we can do, performance all the way, and then you get the other end saying, hey, here's some cardboard. Mess around with that.
Yeah. But yeah, at least it's one of those things where you're gonna run into things like that, and I think it's a really cool way of crossing real life with the game. Like, there's been a lot of immersion in games in the past decade where that's what people want. They want to feel immersed into the game, and this is a different approach at it, but I think it might actually be more effective.
Yeah, you know what? I would have to agree with that. And I know a lot of people kind of say that this is almost probably more immersive than VR. Well, who knows? Though I think the robot kit uses VR. I might be wrong. Or uses
I think it's
something like it.
It uses something like it. I'm not sure what, but I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking at it now, and it's not okay. It's not VR, but it's just. But the point being is that it's very immersive, and
yeah,
it's great.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I hope it doesn't flop. That's
my biggest fear, is that it will flop. I mean, if you're looking at it from an economical standpoint, not to get too far into economics, but if we're going in terms of middle class and up, there's going to be a lot of struggles there with affording $80 cardboard. That's completely understandable. But it's done in a way where, like, it's not just cardboard, I guess is the best way to put it. It's very specifically made.
It's an experience.
Absolutely. It's for somebody to learn, play, do whatever. Like, it's for them to kind of experience the Switch in a different way, which is why I would definitely say it's a smart idea, and I kind of do fear it'll flop, but I feel like it might actually do really well.
So, just like the Switch itself.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
I feel like it's going to flop, but, you know, the Switch itself did pretty good, so let's hope
really
this
well.
does pretty good. And, yeah, I wish I had the Switch, but, you know, even if I did, I probably wouldn't get this, at least right now. I just hope that they have enough and that they and this doesn't become a scalper situation where people are gonna have these and then overcharge them.
Yeah, at least the only thing that I fear for this kind of idea with Nintendo Labo is if they run out of ideas, it's gonna die quick. They
Oh
have
yeah.
to keep releasing things for people to do, because whether that's with the cardboard or with the existing things, you can't just have the one game. It's kind of like when the Switch came out and there was really only 1-2 Switch. You can't you can't do much with that. Like, you're gonna get sick of ARMS pretty quick. The people that really like ARMS, they're gonna keep playing, so that's good. But you
Oh
really
yeah, and all right, and I guess I forgot to mention that yeah, the whole ARMS is dead right now. They're not releasing
yeah.
any more updates.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man, that was sad.
It's
That
gone.
was so sad. That's so sad because I did get a chance to play a little bit of ARMS and it was pretty fun.
That's the most I could give it. It's a fun game. it's
a fun game, but it ain't no Smash Bros.
For sure. Yeah, that's the problem, is that like you have a specific fighting style that people really love and you try to go different, but Smash is just so perfect. Like, it has mastered like what a fighting game, at least to me, what it should
Even
be.
Brawl is great, right?
Absolutely. Honestly, I'd say Brawl's fun. It's probably my least favorite, but it's fun.
Whoa! Even with the N64, I mean that one does not age good.
Oh, I'd rate 64 above it. In my tier list, I'd go Brawl, 64, Smash 4, and then Melee. That's what I'd rate it.
So is that best to worst?
That's worst to best.
Okay, I was gonna say, wait, that's not how tier lists work. That's like, but yeah, I definitely say that Smash 4 is probably the best, and that's why we need an HD version, or, I mean, well, it was already HD, but you know what I mean. We need a new port of that for
sure,
for Nintendo Switch. That would blow up. It might kill Splatoon, but who knows? Maybe it won't.
Oh yeah, honestly, a remaster of Smash Melee. That's what the people want. They want to nerf Fox. Let's get him out of here.
Yeah, because they can't nerf or do anything.
No, they can't do anything for GameCube.
Once it's out on the GameCube, that's it.
That's it. That's what you have to deal with.
Version 1.1, unless they do a re-release. But well, because they did do a re-release for the player select. But I don't think that changed anything. I think it was still the same. I don't think it did any balancing.
Yeah, all the fighting was still the same. So.
Wow. Because I know that Nintendo has done that before with some versions with Metroid Prime. There's like a few differences and a few glitches that were patched out after the initial release.
Yeah.
And they did a re-release, and yeah, it's why if you ever see speed runs of Metroid Prime, it's always the original first, because that's the one that's the most glitched.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you can exploit a game enough, why not speedrun that one? Like, you can make a quick time and you have a legal way to do it, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Oh, and before I get to that, I guess I also do want to mention that the Awesome Games Done on Quick was happened, and there was some really good runs. I didn't get to see every single one, but I think a highlight of this year would probably be the Bloodborne run. It was really good.
That's good.
And I recommend it. But yeah, so if anyone out there that likes watching speed runs, I do, depending on the game and depending on how long it is. I mean, there's some of these like the Breath of the Wild was like 7 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
really long.
A lot of these newer games, they're such long runs. Like, at least for me in speedruns, like, I love watching the classics like GoldenEye 007. That's probably my favorite game to watch speedrun. Whether it's just certain levels or like the full game as a whole, it's just really cool to watch.
Yep, 100%. I have to agree with that, though. Maybe they'll have it again for the next GDQ, which I think is summer.
Yeah, I think it's summer. I think.
Yeah,
right.
I think summer's the next one. But yes, in any case, before we get to our last topic for discussion, let's talk a little bit about the games released. And by that, I mean, like, really, there's only 2 big releases that we had this year. If we're not counting indie stuff. That would be Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which I think just came out at the time of this recording, or came out like a couple days ago.
It was very quick and very soon to today.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention because it is made by the same people that did BlazBlue and Guilty Gear. Basically, the I think it was Arc System Works. I think that's the company that made it.
Yeah, it is.
And I just gotta say, I've never been a fan of Dragon Ball. I haven't watched any of the anime. My only experience with it was actually playing, I think, one of the Budokai games, and I don't remember where it was. I remember playing one of them, and I was like, "How the heck do you?" I didn't know what was going on, and it was weird. But that's about it in terms of that's where my knowledge of Dragon Ball Z kind of comes and stops. Is right there. But this game, I was able to play the beta, the open beta that came out, and it sold me. And I'm like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
Too bad I don't have anyone to play it with. But I'd probably get it. But
yeah, at least from what I've seen of it, I'm in the same situation. Never really been a Dragon Ball fan. Haven't seen any of the anime. Very little knowledge. I may have watched a few episodes back when I was a kid or something like that. But from what I've seen of it, because it has that 3-fighter style, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, which
I'd
is
have to look up again. But.
Which I'm fairly sure came out like with Marvel versus Capcom 3 or something like that.
Yeah,
something
because
way back.
Marvel versus Capcom originally started with the 2-fighter. It was 2-fighter, and then when the second game came out, it changed it to 3 fighters. That's also because of the roster for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was like more than 50 characters.
Oh, exactly, and it makes
sense.
sense.
Was incredibly unbalanced. I mean, I would never play that game competitively because you're probably just going to see the same team up over and over again.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, at least like from what I've seen, it looks fantastic. One thing I've heard a bunch is that it's quite accessible. In terms of
which is always good because
which is almost necessary for a fighting game, like
that's why I probably even say that like the newer Mortal Kombat and games and even the Injustice games I think are really easy to get into.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a huge selling point too.
Oh, absolutely. Like
accessibility.
Yeah, and that's why Smash did so well is that you can pick up and play. You don't have to have played it before. It's a game that you can learn on your own and that you can get really good at if you just keep playing. And there's a lot of games like that.
And then there's like certain characters that you can get really good at and do amazing, like Fox in Melee. Oh boy!
If you like making people cry, learn Fox.
Fox and Falco team matchups, just both of them going
just
at
dominant.
On Final Destination and just going around the entire. Ooh, wow.
Yep.
It's something to see, and I'm like, how am I can never be that good.
Yeah.
I can't do this. Yeah, but it's definitely something that I probably won't get just because I know I don't have anyone to play it with. But just that it was so close for me to actually get it, and I don't know anything about Dragon Ball. That's there's something good there.
You've made a good quality game when you have people that want to play it with zero experience. That's definitely a good thing to have for a brand new game.
Now will this do better than the cross battle thing that's coming out? I don't know. I have my own gripes with that. The fact that like half of the roster is DLC or something. It's like oof, okay. And they already announced that before the game's out. That's kind of a little. It's probably gonna be like the new the BlazBlue cross battle that has like so many things going over things like has like BlazBlue apparently has some Ruby characters. It has one series I don't know of, and then Persona 4 Arena. That's like, okay, how do these all work together? I don't know. And it's one of those fighting games that I probably will get after the full version comes out, like most fighting games.
Yeah.
I'll wait until the Super Deluxe Ultra version Game of the Year comes out.
Just wait for Game of the Year. That's the way to do it.
Just wait for the Game of the Year. Because, like, for me, fighting games are kind of like it's an investment.
Absolutely.
It's, you get it day one if you know for sure you're going to be playing this. You have a group and you all want to play this, and then you can afford to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Keep with all the updates. If you can't do that, then just wait for the Game of the Year version, and if by then you still want to get it, it's more worth it because you don't have to pay for any DLC.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I view most fighting games. Is kind of like it depends on if you have the time in it and you want to invest in it, or if you don't, then just wait.
Yeah, with a lot of fighting games, like, you have to be committed to it. It's not going to be fun if you're just kind of playing it every now and then, because with fighting games, you want to win. That's what you want to do, so you want to get good at those. So you want to make sure that you're playing it as much, and the best word that you said was investment. That's what most fighting games are. They're an investment, and if you're willing to put the time in, you're going to be rewarded.
And that's about it. So yeah, there's another game, of course, was released. I think like actually today or yesterday. It was also pretty close. But Monster Hunter World, which I'm hearing is the best Monster Hunter game. I have a little knowledge of Monster Hunter, but the bits that I played of it, it was very confusing. And I could never get into it.
Yeah.
But I hear that World is actually very accessible.
That's good. Yeah.
That they changed a lot of how things work, and apparently now there's better because like there was one new change that they did where damage counters, where now the numbers will be a different color if you know that you're hitting a weak spot, and apparently that was not a thing in older ones. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing to have.
Whoa, just that alone.
Yeah.
And apparently you wouldn't even know what loot you got from the monsters, but now in World you do.
Okay.
Like before, that was all fan-made wiki stuff that they told you, okay, so if you do this quest, then you can get, if you slay this monster, then you get this loot. But that was never told in-game. Now it is told in-game.
Well, that's definitely a lot better.
And I'm just thinking, it's like, okay, so this definitely seems like just a much better game. I know some people still have some gripes with it, but I hear it's very, very good. And
that's definitely good.
And the fact that it is accessible,
that's a big thing.
Just because when I was playing a little bit of, I think it was Monster Hunter 4, and I was basically saying, like, okay, listen, this seems like a really good series, and there's something here, but I don't think there's a title that you can easily get people into.
Yeah, it's a very niche crowd that really followed Monster Hunter, so it's nice to see them going for a much more accessible style that people could actually pick up and play.
Yeah, though I do hear that the beginning, like 40 minutes, is pretty slow.
Okay.
Which is what happens a lot in modern games.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you can get through that, it's like all fun from there on out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely something I'm going to be keeping out on my radar. May or may not get it in the future. Who knows? But yeah, it's also kind of something to think of when thinking about accessibility. Because I heard that there's most of the accessibility options you can turn off for the hardcore players.
Okay.
So it does cater to both.
That's really smart. That's a great idea.
And that's and then just having that option means that it's much better. But this also kind of goes to the whole point of whether a game series needs to be this accessible, or if it can survive in that niche. And I think Monster Hunter is actually one that it probably could have survived just being what it was.
Yeah.
But I think just having this being it more accessible is just a much better alternative.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a very fine line for accessibility in games. Best example I could use is Destiny 2. In Destiny 1, they went for a very specific crowd that would follow this kind of game, like people that played Borderlands, people that followed the Halo series all the way through, things like that. They had a crowd that would follow. They had a crowd that would put in the hours to grind for cool loot, and they were rewarding people with that loot. With Destiny 2, they tried to make it accessible to everybody so that, you didn't have to play it all the time to get the coolest stuff. And now it's pretty much dead because they didn't do it the right way. They didn't go for both crowds. So if Monster Hunter is going for that style where anybody can play it, but you can also, I guess, handicap yourself or go back to the traditional ways of playing, that's definitely a smart way to handle that.
Yep, it's all about how you handle accessibility and whether or not it will hamper the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think I could even compare accessibility to kind of like Dark Souls 2, where
Yeah.
I mean those games aren't meant to be super accessible because that's kind of the point. It's something you're supposed to learn after many attempts,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how it works. And I mean, I guess I could say the same thing about Cuphead, but Cuphead's kind of you get what's going on, and it's just more challenges, and it's very accessible,
Absolutely.
I think. So yeah, it's all about how you do it and not just doing it.
Exactly. That's nail on the head right there. Like, that's perfect. Great way to put it.
Yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, we're gonna talk about one thing. If there was something that happened in 2017, it was a lot of remasters. I mean, a lot of remasters.
A lot, yeah.
There was a lot, and with that, there's also kind of a lot of remasters that I personally would have wanted to see and that we didn't really get. So I'm going to probably be naming a couple things that not a lot of people know, and they're going to be saying, "What the heck are you talking about?" But so I'm going to open up with a series that I actually really liked. I kind of it was like one of the first series I actually got into. It's Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. I think having a remaster of the first 3 games would be really good at this point.
That'd be cool.
Because the first 2 games have aged so terribly. And I can't play them anymore.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
Now, there's like I like the story. I like what they were trying to do, but just the control scheme is super archaic. And I can't get it into it. And it gets better by the 3rd game, but it's just not really good. It's also this because I think that Splinter Cell is probably one of the better Tom Clancy series.
I'd say so, yeah.
Of games, and I kind of really want a new one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Since the last one we had was Blacklist, and that's not really a good one to end on.
Yeah.
That wasn't really the best thing they could have done. But yeah, definitely, I would have liked a remaster of the first 3 games.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be really good, and it'd also be a really good way to get people into the series.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, so Quab, do you have any remasters you'd want to see?
I mean, I had 4. So I think a remaster of Super Smash Bros. Melee. We gotta make it happen. I've talked to at least one of my friends. He's very competitive with Smash. Goes to tournaments and things like that, and he wants a port of Smash Melee for the Switch. And honestly, you'd get a lot more people buying Switches if there was that for it. We're definitely going to see a Smash game for the Switch. There's been one for every Nintendo console to come out. So that's to be expected. But a remaster of Melee could fix a few problems. If Nintendo finally decides to do it well, they could get online play going. There's a lot of possibility there. Another one, but we're already getting it, and I'm really excited about it, is Shadow of the Colossus. Really glad that's happening. Excited for it.
That was actually going to be on my list, and then I remembered, oh wait, that's actually happening.
Yeah, it's actually happening. I had to put it on because that was. I'm really happy that they're finally bringing it over. Especially with Last Guardian not doing that well, bringing Shadow Colossus over, that's definitely a smart move. One that I'd like to see, Beautiful Joe. I think that would be...
Oh, man!
That'd be so cool.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
wow,
that'd be so good.
Yes, totally.
Yeah,
100%.
Honestly, all of mine, well, except for Shadow, were all GameCube games that I really loved.
Well, the thing about Beautiful Joe is that it was a GameCube game until GameCube's not selling that well. We gotta port things.
Yeah,
that were gonna be exclusive. Like Resident Evil 4 was another one, and of course Beautiful Joe.
Yeah,
and Beautiful Joe got Dante for some reason, and trying to see Dante in that sort of style and is really bizarre.
Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, with Beautiful Joe, I mean. I still say it's one of the more unique games out there. A really cool style, really smooth gameplay. Like, it's a lot of fun, and I'd love to play through it again. So I'd like to see that one. And the last one, which I'm not sure how many people are very familiar with it, but Kirby Air Ride.
Oh man, I love that.
That
game.
is, in my opinion, the best game for GameCube. That is so much fun and so good. My brother and I still play it a fair bit to this date. Like we
I
absolutely
wish I
love
still
it.
had it. I don't know what happened to my copy. I
Yeah.
think it was one of those games that I gave to a friend and they never gave it back.
Yeah, honestly, like, and the problem is now it's so expensive to get back. It is quite pricey to actually find. It's in the hundreds for sure now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think like the rarest probably GameCube stuff that I have is Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's
I have both discs, the manual and the box.
wow. So you could
And-
you could make some money if you really wanted to.
That's like no, but I actually like that was my introduction to to Metal Gear Solid
Yeah.
was that because I didn't grow up with the PS1 or PS2, so yeah, I got very late in and it kind of breaks the game like Twin Snakes is so easy just because the level design was not made for MGS2 controls.
Hmm.
It was it was like, oh, I could just shoot all these cameras,
Yeah.
and now I don't need chaff grenades.
But yeah, honestly, Kirby Air Ride, a lot of fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun on the Switch as well. If I mean,
Probably even be better.
we were talking about couch games again, and that'd be a lot of fun. You can have 2 Joy-Cons right away. You can get some more, get more people over, go back to the classic 4-player split screen. That'd be a lot of fun, and that's one that I'd like to see.
Yeah, just a lot of Nintendo ones. I also want one that another game that I'd probably add is the first Devil May Cry, that might just be because I want a new one, and while Capcom seems to be kind of floating about the idea of if we're gonna get a new one. I mean, they announced that Mega Man 11 is a thing, so I'm like, okay. With that said, you could just do a Devil May Cry game, but it's fine, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But I think a remaster of the first one would be good because the first one probably no, the third one has the best story, but the first one has aged so terrible. It's just
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
And it just gets worse with age. So I think a remaster of the first game could be a good way to see if people are interested, or if there's still a good community, and then maybe announce that you're going to do a new game.
Yeah. No,
Because generally,
that'd be cool to see.
the last game that we had was the reboot that is not even canon anymore
Yep.
because it was so bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But I think other than that, I don't really have a lot of remasters because if there's one thing, I guess I could say Spyro, since I know a lot of people want like I know a lot of people want like the first 3 Spyro games being having remaster like they did for
Yeah.
Crash.
Hmm.
Though again, I'm not a PS1 person, so I don't know that much of Spyro. I do have one of the Spyro games because I recently did get a PS1 for like $5.
That's
and
good.
It works perfectly.
That's awesome.
It came with a huge memory card. I have a controller with it. I have a few games for it. Spyro was one of them. It was like the best deal I ever could have got, and I still haven't played it. It's in my backlog.
Yeah.
Same with Final Fantasy IX, which also came with the 2. So I just still in my backlog, but I need to get around to doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I'll stream it. I don't know. Anyway, well, that was bad. The point. What was that? Oh, well, it's gone. Okay. Anyway, now now this is the time where I usually answer questions left on the last podcast through Twitter or through my Discord, which are all in the description of this video. But seeing as it's been a long time, I'll just not do that section, as I don't think I really did get any in the last podcast, so we're all good here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anyway, this is now the end of the podcast. I know a bit shorter than how it usually is, but I'm gonna try and keep these shorter for obvious reasons. And I just want to thank Quab here for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You can find a link to all of his stuff, like his Twitch, his Twitter, anything else people should know about, the YouTube. Is there anything else?
I mean, really, Twitch is where I am the most. That's where you'll be able to find me. Like I said, I'll be doing art stuff. I'll be doing game stuff. Kind of depends on the day. But yeah, Twitch is the best way to find me.
And yeah, and for all of you that have stuck around and probably wondering where's the Sonic reference? There's got to be one in every single podcast, but I decided to save this one for the last because I am some updates on kind of what's going on. I'm getting close to actually finishing my website. This will probably be the first podcast that I can put out on Apple Podcast, which is this is technically season 2 of it.
Nice.
Because, why not have multiple seasons?
Absolutely.
And I'll probably be getting this one will be the first one up on Apple Podcasts, and then hopefully every other one from here on out will be up there as well. And in terms of the Sonic reference, well, I'm planning to have a Sonic related video out sometime, but I may or may not move it to just a blog post because with the state of YouTube it is right now, I'm kind of like not in the mood to make videos.
That's fair.
But that's fine, whatever. So yeah, expect the website to probably be out when this podcast is out. So yay for that.
Woo!
So, yep, again, want to thank Quab for being on the podcast. I hope you all have a good night and take care.